Yeah, he is. Music and printmaking. Stop it.
North Louisiana, which if y'all are familiar with that, it's like an hour. No, other more locals. But it's about an hour northeast of here. And growing up there, grew up like a lot of kids did, grew up hunting and such like that with my grandpa and my uncles and my cousins. Bachelor's of Fine Arts, and I concentrated in printmaking. So printmaking was something that I got talked into taking by some friends, and Doyle Jeter, who y'all know from Enoch's, was my first printmaking teacher. He's the one that introduced it to me first, and it was like etching and stuff. And I remember really liking the graphic process of it, the process of it, but the graphic nature of it and the process was a lot of fun. And then Jason Clark, who I'm not sure if any of you may remember or know, he introduced me to block printing. And that kind of changed everything. So that process became the main thing that I focused on. So when I graduated ULM, I was advised by Cliff Tresner, who was one of my mentors and professors, and Jason to take like about a year off in between like undergrad and grad school. If you make art within that year, then you're ready for grad school. And that year turned into 6, where I was a screen printer at Reflections in West Monroe for 5 years. And then I decided I was going to go to grad school and went there in 2015 and got my Master's of Fine Arts in Printmaking from Indiana State University in Terre Haute, Indiana. And that's kind of where this body of work was first, where I first started playing with the idea. So if any of you have made it to the back hall here or would like to later, there's 3 works back here called Proud Meat. And those are a little hard to talk about because it's a joke. And it's a joke, it's a dirty joke, I'll just say that. I'm not going to explain what that joke is. You might be able to Google it. But that's where it came from. And I remember like being in grad school, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And I thought about continuing portraiture, which is what my thesis ended up being, but I thought about exploring this kind of idea of, all right, so I grew up hunting, I grew up doing this, what if I made a body of work kind of showcasing this imagery and these memories and from photographs, because like the piece that's called Proud Meat that's over here was from a photo that I took helping my cousin Lee skin a deer one night. So when I took that photo and I took that with me to grad school, and I remember revisiting that and going, this is interesting, and I made that. And this was a triptych, and they were supposed to be printed pieces. So I, as a printmaker, that's what I do. There was a press large enough to print these works there at Indiana State. And I wanted these really beautiful frames made of walnut for them. Well, budgeting, I was only able to make 1. So I had 3 images, but only 1 frame. So they've been interchanged over the years, but I just kept them because I don't throw anything away. Like I just keep every art piece that I've ever done, prints and such like that. So when I came back here in 2020, I was teaching at ULM, and I became the curator at the Master Art Museum. I was curator for about 4 years. And in that time, as curator, there's not a lot of room to make a lot of art. When I did make art, it was small. And this was always in the back of my mind. I did sketches of, mounted deer heads in grad school that were kind of part of this idea of the Proud Meat series. And I just couldn't figure out how to make it all work, like how to bring it together. And I've told students in the past when I was teaching that always keep your sketchbooks, and whatever sketch and idea might not work in that moment, keep it and have them reference back to it later, because you might have that visual language to be able to make it work later on. And that's kind of that's where this came from. So when I stepped down from the master, I had a lot of spare time on my hands. So I just did this. So this body of work here that is Pull Tight Rhapsody was made in, about 9 of these pieces were made from the time of October last year to November. So within a 2-month time period, I made most of this. And that's about when I saw social media, Jerry or Abigail posted the proposals. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything with this. Like, what if I wrote a proposal and, kind of did it? This kind of went through a couple of different iterations and a couple of different meetings before I settled on something. So it's supposed to be called Trophy Room. And this is kind of, and that's where the idea started, as like an homage to my grandfather and my uncle and cousins and such like that. So growing up, they would take me hunting, and I was never a successful hunter. So I think the only animal I ever killed while hunting was some poor squirrel when I was 10. And the little by squirrel, which is called squirrel shot, that's over there in red, there's a little story associated with each one. And that story isn't true. That's, I remember we were leaving the woods and there was a squirrel in a tree that was maybe 8 feet away. I'm 10 years old, and my grandpa was like, "There's one," and I just turned and shot it. And all that was left was the tail. And there's a photo of me, my grandpa, and my little brother who's here, standing on the porch, and I'm holding the squirrel tail up, just grinning. And it's just my grandpa standing behind me all proud. Hobby Lobby or Walmart or any hardware store and found various different colors of paints. And some of them worked, some of them didn't. Some of them have multiple layers of things. Like the squirrel's got like a hunter green underneath it. And that hunter green was so dark that you couldn't see any of the details. So I was like a red, so it's got that like fire hydrant red over it. There's a few more that are multiple layers of paint underneath it. But not too much because spray paint's kind of thick. I didn't want to have lines are really small. I didn't want it to fill up. So, also the alligators.
Community guidelines.
I would have done the original plan for which one I see this, I was like, what do I talk about it? And then I played that conversation over and I was like, well wait, I would have to like strictly curate their language and what they said.
Right.
Alright, say this. Say this. It's 3 words.
You cannot say, you can't say let's do this. This time, I have my brothers. I don't know.
You don't know if they're aliens or not.
So you can watch NOEL.
The way you tell if somebody is or don't stand still. You always see them leaning. Right?
Richard, I think he's doing the